Hey guys, I just wanted to real quick chime in on this whole GameStop thing. I know there's a lot of news, it's just been taking over the whole world and it's really fun to watch, but there's a lot of misunderstandings out there about it, and I just wanted to give you what I know so far. I don't know everything, I'm not the expert by any means, but basically there's two types of people. There's those cheering and there's those booing, and then there's kind of everyone else in the middle. Now, who's cheering and who's booing? It's not just Reddit and it's not just Wall Street. There are people in the industry who are booing because people who make money off the industry don't want to stop making money. And so they are going to support shorts. They are going to say shorts are good, shorts are useful, shorts this and that. They're going to defend shorts. They're going to defend CNBC. They're going to defend all the companies. They're going to defend hedge funds. And what you're going to hear a lot is hedge funds have pensions. It's for little guys. You know, there's just teachers and moms and stuff who are going to lose over this, right? They're going to try to play to your heartstrings. Why? Not because they care about pensions, not because they have a fundamental reason of why shorts are good. They're going to try to twist and manipulate the information to basically defend their industry. Makes sense to me? I'd probably do the same thing. However, this entire industry has always been based on false information to some degrees, stretching information, but basically manipulating and cheating in a way. Not actual cheating, but sort of cheating. And this is what I mean. So you have a hedge fund that is got billions of dollars. And so what the hedge fund is doing is picking winners and losers. This hedge fund does a lot of tricks. They have a lot of influence over the trading platform. They have a quicker connection. There's just a lot of things they'll do to gain every little advantage. All of it's legal, but not all of it's fair. So the people with money, they are manipulating the markets, they're manipulating the timings, they're manipulating the news, they're manipulating all these things to make sure that their picks aren't gambles. So when these hedge funds short, or when anybody shorts for that matter, they go to a broker, they go to a bank, they go to Robinhood, they go to whoever, and they say, hey, I want to borrow some shares. In this case, I want to borrow shares of GameStop. So maybe I own shares of GameStop. Maybe I own 100 shares of GameStop, and they borrow my 100 shares. I don't know they're borrowing my shares. I don't get anything for them borrowing my shares. Who does? My broker, right? So somebody goes to Robinhood and says, I want to short GameStop, I want to borrow 100 shares. Robinhood says, sure, here's Ken's shares. Here's his 100 shares. And then Robinhood gets paid. Robinhood's making money off my shares. I'm not. So the person who's now selling my shares, even though I still have my shares, he's now increasing the amount of shares in GameStop. So he takes my 100 shares and then he sells them to someone else. So he sells them to you, and the stock price is, say, $40. So he sells them at the current stock price. Now, to make money, he needs that stock to go down. And the more it goes down, the more money he makes. If the stock price goes down to $30 and he sold it for $40, he buys it back for $30 from whoever. Let's say he buys it from me, it doesn't really matter. And then he gives the share basically to the person he sold it to for $40, and he makes $10, right? So he sold it for $40, bought it back for $30, makes $10. But hedge funds don't like to make just $10. They want to make every last penny they can. And so what they do is they will try to drive down a stock price so low, and in some cases, chase the company out of business. GameStop was on the verge of really being against the wall because of COVID. All these businesses and companies have needed cash flow. They have needed liquidity, and so they're all getting loans. All companies, well, not all, but a lot of these companies in retail, in travel, in hotels, in hospitality, these kind of restaurants, these kind of businesses are either going out of business or they're borrowing money to stay in business. If you can't borrow money to make it through to when vaccines finish and we get back to normal, then you have a greater chance of going out of business. You can borrow money if a bank will lend it to you. But if I can make your stock price go down low enough, you all of a sudden are worth a lot less money. And if I can tell my friends at the bank, this company is in danger of going bankrupt, I can get the bank not to loan you money, and in a sense, I can make you go bankrupt. So here's how it works, and here's how it's worked for years. I'm a hedge fund manager. I have all the connections and I have all the money. I have all the friends and all the people. So what I do is I short a company. Then I drive the price down. How do I do that? A few ways. I tell everybody that I'm downgrading this stock. I'm saying it's a sell. This stock is no good. I get my friends to basically also go on CNBC and go on the TV or go on the website and say, GameStop is now a sell. The projected range is now going to be $2 up from 20. And so now all of a sudden all the experts who are giving us advice and guidance, they are all saying sell, sell, sell. On the TV they're saying sell, sell, sell. And so what happens is this stock goes down. When they short the stock, they are also selling more stock than there is. So remember, the stock market is supply and demand. If there's 100 stocks and there's a demand for 100 stocks, then you have equilibrium. You have that price. However, if there's a demand for only 100 stocks and all of a sudden I'm selling 200, well, now the price is cut in half. Not literally for every stock, but in general when you think about supply and demand. So with stocks, you have this supply and demand factor, and what's going on then is that when I short a stock, if there's 100 shares in a stock and I borrow 100 shares to sell to someone else with the promise of giving them back, in that intermediary time, there are 200 shares. So now I've just doubled the supply, but the demand remained the same. So of course that brings the price down. I've brought the price down by flooding the supply in the market. Demand stays the same. I flooded the supply, price goes down. Next phase, I get the news media and all my friends and experts to say that the company is going to go down or it's not worth it. Therefore, I've not only increased supply, I'm now decreasing demand, which further drives the price down. In a perfect world for some of these short-selling hedge fund managers is if GameStop goes out of business completely, they actually never have to rebuy those shares altogether, and they make a whole $40. It's a pure profit based on nothing. They spent no money and they made money. So what happens then is they get the price so low that GameStop's not worth anything. Then they go to the banks and they tell them, don't lend, this company is not worth it. It's too risky. So the bank won't lend them money, and soon enough, once again, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. GameStop goes out of business, GameStop stores close, employees lose their jobs, a lot of people lose their money. So it's a zero-sum game if you think about it. So this hedge fund spends all this money and does all this work to make money, and anyone he sells the stock to is going to lose because it's a preordained decision that this stock's going to go down. That's how it's worked for years. I've been saying for a long, long time that I think shorting stocks should be illegal. And the reason is a couple reasons. One, I believe shorting stocks leads to a malfunction in the normal supply and demand market because it does increase the supply and therefore drive down the price of the stock by the very nature of shorting. Philosophically, I'm very much against it because you are selling something you don't own. It'd be like if I sold your house to someone with the promise of buying them a house later. It doesn't make sense. It's your house. I can't sell your house. I can't sell your car. I can't sell your jacket. I don't have a jacket to sell. 3, economically, it is not a good way of using funds, and the people who are losing are not even benefiting. What I mean by this is the brokers are the ones who get paid to borrow your shares. You don't get any of that money. It'd be different if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to borrow your shares to short them. How much will you charge me for me to borrow your shares? And I negotiate that price. And I say, okay, I've got 100 shares. I'll let you borrow them for $10 a share. So pay me $1,000 and you can borrow my shares. And they can go negotiate. However, those are my shares, but they're in my broker's account. So my broker actually kind of owns them. And so the broker actually makes money off selling the shorts. So now my broker, my bank, Robinhood, whoever has incentive to sell shorts because it's a moneymaker for them. So now you have the banks, the brokers, the hedge funds, the news media, the bloggers, they're all in it together. Because the broker makes money, the hedge fund makes money. Who loses money? The little guy, me and you, and the companies who they're putting out of business. I just think in every shape, way, and form, shorts make no sense in the normal market, and they should be illegal. If you try to sell my house to someone, that's illegal. Everybody knows that. And yet for some reason in the stock market, that's okay. That is why I think shorts should be illegal. That is why I'm thrilled about what's going on and I'm just sitting back and watching. I'm not jumping in myself because a lot of people are going to get hurt. It is basically like a pyramid scheme in a sense. Whenever this is going, whoever buys in at the top and then people start selling is going to lose. There's going to be losers in this whole operation. If you want to know exactly what's happening, there's plenty of other YouTube videos out there. I could explain the whole thing in detail to you, but you know, there's another guy I follow, Graham Stephan, maybe you heard of him. He actually just did a video yesterday that explains it in great detail, and he did it better than anyone I've seen. Most people, when they're explaining what's happening, is they're giving Reddit all the credit. Actually, what happened is Michael Burry, the big short guy, he actually set this whole thing in motion. He set the whole table by buying shares in GameStop after seeing they were heavily shorted and telling GameStop to buy back some of their shares. That is how the short position became over 100%. Normally, you cannot borrow more than 100% of the shares in a stock. However, if you borrow 100% of the shares, if there's 100 shares and I borrow 100 shares and sell them, now 100% of the shares are shorted. And no, there's no other shares to borrow. All the shares are borrowed. However, GameStop comes back and they buy 20 shares back. So now 20 shares are taken out of circulation. So now there's actually only 80 shares of GameStop left. Those 80 shares are the real shares, but there's 100 shares borrowed. So when these 100 shares need to buy back to pay their debt, there's only 80 shares left for them to buy. Michael Burry saw this and said, we're going to have a bidding war. There's no way the shorts can cover their positions if GameStop buys this. So Michael Burry came up with this strategy, Reddit got a hold of it, and they ran with it, and everything was totally legal. And you know what? They did it without cheating. There is no cheating going on here. They're not controlling the media. They're not controlling the banks. They're not controlling the money flow. They're not controlling the narrative. All they're doing is getting people to buy stock in this strategy. The people who are totally against me, the people in the comments who are going to be like, shorts are fine, and this, that, and the other, and they're going to defend the whole thing, chances are they make a living off the industry. That's fine, they can make a living off the industry, but if they try to tell you that the industry has no problems, and that it's good, and that all these things are not unethical in a way, and that the little guy hasn't been getting screwed for years and years and years, well, they're just being disingenuous, or they are so deep in their industry that they can't see it. I'm all about free markets. I'm all about capitalism. But we've been playing a rigged game for a long time. And finally, the little guys got one on the big guys. And what happens? All of a sudden, these stocks you can't buy anymore. Why would they want to not let you buy these stocks? Because the short sellers need to cover the positions. And if you're buying the stock, they can't. And it drives the price up more. So this was price fixing. If they let us buy those shares, the short sellers, the institutional buyers would have had to pay $500 for that share. Instead, they got the banks, they got the brokers to stop selling so that they could only pay $250. That is price fixing. That is cheating. There is cheating going on. There has always been cheating going on, and it's all out in the open. And it's time to watch the politicians. It's time to watch the media people. It's time to watch the talking heads to see who is honest about this and who continues the dishonest manipulation of information. Will they vilify Reddit or some random people who looked at GameStop and saw, hey, this company is in better shape than they're saying, it'll bounce back? Or are they actually talking about the manipulated game that Wall Street has been playing forever? Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit a like for me. Go ahead and comment below. It's been a hot topic. It's been a lot of fun. Go ahead and rip me a new one, because I know a lot of people are all about the institutional side. But if you do, just do me a favor and be honest and let me know if you make a living off that side, if you're a trader, or if you're a Wall Street person, or if you're a financial analyst or something like that. Because I just don't see, if you're not in that world, how you could really defend that world right now. Have a great day. Try not to lose too much money, and don't chase these upward gains too much. I think the game is too rigged. It's maybe too late for most of these things. If you're in it and it's a principal play, heck, keep holding it. Keep holding it and go. But there's two types of money. There's money to invest, and there's money to gamble with. This is gambling money. If you like gambling, going to the casinos and gambling, go for it. But don't mix this up with investments. Investments are money that you put away to live off of later. Gambling is money you play with in hopes to win big, but you're okay if you lose. It's not money you need. Don't be using rent money on this. Have a great day, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.